Well, good morning, and it is September 26th. It was a interesting weekend, long weekend. I had people telling me the sky was falling, all kind of things were going to happen over the weekend. Well, we're still here, we're surviving, but there's a lot of news out there right now, and just want to go over really a lot of like what is affecting all of us and the dollar. Because we keep talking about inflation and how it can affect us, all these different things. But I'm just checking the markets right now and seeing what's going on here in the actual stock market this morning. And what we're seeing is, yeah, everything's still pretty flat right now. Well, look, there's some news out today, and I want Robert to kind of like go over some of this with you today. But they're talking about how investors' negative outlook has jumped to levels not seen in nearly 13 years. And what they're basically talking about is like what's happening with the market, what's happening with liquidity. And this is something that is a big news out there as well, is talking about there's a perfect storm for a liquidity crisis right now. And Robert, you want to share with our viewers what they're talking about?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, a lot of investors potentially, right, in the future be faced with the inability to actually access their liquidity, whether it be through them selling their bonds for cash or them selling their stocks for cash, right, or even accessing their deposit accounts. So it just seems like liquidity, according to some of these reports that we're listening to and that we're reading, it's dwindling out the window. There's not enough liquidity floating through financial markets right now. So who's to say
When you say liquidity, are you talking about cash?
The exchange, right? Exchanging your stock or your mutual fund or your bond for a one-to-one cash equivalent, meaning selling your stock. Let's say you have $100,000 in Fidelity mutual funds or Schwab mutual funds, converting $100,000 in those mutual funds for $100,000 in fiat, in cash. What they're saying is, according to that report, is that in the future, that's not likely. You may not be able to.
So liquidity is drying up. So cash is drying up.
It's a big kill switch. That's what it is. A kill switch on liquidity. Yep.
Yeah, it seems like the U.S. currency right now is just rallying so high. I saw the pound drop down to lows like they've never seen in a long, 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 long time.
Right.
And it's just like, it seems like our dollar, and this is what I was talking about the other day. I was talking about how the dollar is used as a weapon to literally barter, do all sorts of things. And it looks like that's what's happening right now, because all the other baskets of currencies around the globe, except for the ruble and some others, are literally falling. They're just crumbling. The euro is at $1 to $1. I haven't looked at it today, but as of Friday, it was $1 to $1. Saturday, it was $1 to $1. Sunday. So, eventually all of these currencies, it sounds like, are going to erode, are going to falter. And then do you think it's going to be the central bank digital currency?
I mean, when it comes to currencies free falling all across the globe, it's all relative strength to the dollar, right? It seems like, the central banks have been orchestrating this for quite some time, because what they're doing is, this is my own opinion, I could be completely wrong. What I think they're doing is they're suppressing or eliminating the purchasing power to these individuals. So let's say you're in Japanese yen, right? Your currency has recently plummeted. Well, that's your purchasing power being stolen from you by the central banks, right? Same thing with the UK, same thing with other currency baskets all across the country.
So let me ask you this then. What do you hear that people should do as far as like protecting themselves from losing this liquidity?
You have to buy physical gold. You have to buy physical silver. That's what every top money manager is currently recommending to their institutional clients. That's what Jim Rickards is recommending. Physical metals.
So, and there's lots of ways that you can do that. And, the one thing that we want to share with you is that there's a lot of people out there that have retirement accounts and they're very worried about losing their liquidity in their retirement accounts. So what you're saying is, to me, then it sounds like their liquidity can dry up in their retirement account as well.
100%. 100%. I mean, you have to think about it. You know, Jay Clayton applied circuit breakers to Wall Street several years ago.
When you say circuit breaker, what are you talking about?
So if the market falls, you know, roughly on the open 10 to 13%, these circuit breakers are basically designated to freeze any individual investor from selling their positions. Robinhood has it on their platform. You know, Webull has it on their platform, to where if there's too much negative downturn or upturn on a specific asset, they have the legal ability to actually gate your redemptions, freeze your access to your liquidity in a sense.
Wow.
Yeah.
So once you lose your liquidity, it's like being at a casino. You have so much money in, and then if you lose that money, you can win that money on the money that you put in, but then when you lose it, it's gone. You have to put more money in to keep playing.
Exactly, in a sense.
But this liquidity, when it's gone, it's gone.
Right.
And what you can actually do, and this is what Robert was telling us, was that you can actually go into physical gold and silver. And the good thing is that there is an IRA out there called a self-directed IRA that allows you to do just that. It allows you to either transfer or roll over your funds into an IRA and then back it with physical gold and silver. And a lot of you out there that are listening that are already clients of UGG, United Gold Group, already have done that and already know how to do that. And you know, the good thing about a self-directed IRA is that it's a way for you to protect what you got. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme at all, meaning the precious metals part of it. What it allows you to do is basically it's a defensive measure to help you keep what you got. And down the road, when things actually get better, then you can actually go into another form of a type of a self-directed IRA, roll or transfer those funds into that IRA. Say you're driving down the road and you found a piece of property that you could buy at a really reasonable rate, and that you wanted to buy it and turn it around, and you know you could flip it and make some dollars off of it or make some money off of it. Well, you can do just that. So the bottom line is, the reason that we have these self-directed IRAs is so that it helps you keep your funds tax deferred. In other words, keeping everything tax deferred so you don't have to pay any taxes on the money that you use for the type of investment that you're purchasing it for. And that's what a self-directed IRA does. So it keeps everything tax deferred. And you can call us to get that information. Rob, you want to give them that number again?
Yeah, it's 1-800-753-8534.
Yeah, and I'll even give you my personal phone number in my office. It's 323-380-5485. That's the trade desk, 323-380-5485. Hey, I want to share some information with you on a legendary financial and geopolitical analyst, and his name is Martin Armstrong. And Martin says, and I have to read this because it just came out today, and Martin works with a lot of the bigger financial institutions, and what he usually says comes to fruition. It happens. And Martin says nothing is going to get better by the end of 2022. Well, we're just a few months away from the end of 2022. And he says nothing will be better by the end of 22, and he's still forecasting chaos coming in 2023. I believe it. I think 2023 is going to be one of the worst years we've ever felt. And he goes on and he says that the plunge in the stock market last week is all because of extreme uncertainty. And he predicts a stock market crash 2 months ago and contends it's not over. So 2 months ago, he predicted a stock market crash, and he's now saying that this is not over. And where he falls into it, he goes into, we're talking about Europe. And this is where a lot of eyes are on right now is Europe, because the canary is in the coal mine. And all you have to do is, according to him, he says, Europe is in big financial trouble right now with Russia, with Russian natural gas, which is turned off as a retaliation from the sanctions. And he explains, in Europe, I believe they're actually deliberately doing this. And this is Klaus Schwab's Great Reset. If you all know who Klaus Schwab is, we'll get into a little bit more about him later in the week. But Klaus Schwab's Reset. And they know they have a serious problem. So they lowered rates below 0% in 2014. And they just started raising the interest rates. And this is what's happening to the pound right now. Anyway, he goes on, he says, meanwhile, you ordered all the pension funds throughout Europe to have more than 70% in government bonds. That means that your pension, if you're in Europe, that your pension is dependent upon 70% of European bonds. How's that sound to you, Robert?
I asked this question: what if there's a sovereign debt crisis and those bonds implode? What happens to your pension fund?
And these are people that worked all their life, like my friend that I mention a lot about, my friend Jurgen, who's this doctor, and he's probably watching right now because he actually subscribed to the channel. And by the way, those of you out there that haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to our channel. It adds a lot of momentum to us as well. And we're really working on it. We see more and more subscribers coming in every day. But yeah, I mean, he's worried about his pension, because that's his livelihood. That's his money that he has to live on for the rest of his life for his retirement as a doctor. So yeah, that's very important. And listen, he goes on, he says, the crisis in banking will start in Europe, and that the debt is collapsing. And they have no way to sustain themselves. And the debt market over there is determining the stability of all the banks. All the banks. And he says you have to understand that reserves are tied to government debt. And that this is the perfect storm. And yes, the U.S. stock market will go down short term. We are not facing a 1920 event or a 90% fall here, he says. Europeans probably by January of 2023, as the crisis in Ukraine escalates, anybody with half a brain is going to take whatever money they have and get it over here, meaning over here to the United States is what he's talking about. So where is smart money going to? And Armstrong says stocks are like gold. It's on the same side of the table and it's opposite government debt. People are not going to be buying government debt. They're going to be looking at anything in the private sector. And people are buying whatever they can just to get off the grid. What do you think he's talking about there?
Just really reclusing, getting your house in order. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, buy gold.
Yeah.
He's talking about getting things off the grid. And he says that governments are borrowing and spending huge amounts of money. Well, that ain't no joke. And the Fed will keep raising interest rates to try and fight inflation. But Armstrong says raising rates will only make things worse. And we have supply shortages, and raising rates will not fill the gaps. What do you think about that, Robert?
That's some scary stuff. This guy has a massive point. It sounds like a complete total meltdown.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. And he's predicting that he says, I even hate to say this, but he says 2023 will be the year from hell. And civil unrest will only get worse this year, and he's predicting we will have full-blown war next year. And he contends that Democrats are desperate and will do things like getting illegal alien citizenships so they can vote in the midterm elections. This is what he's saying. Well, I saw Newsom just signed a bill in order that allows, talking about Gavin Newsom here in California, he just signed a bill that's now allowing migrants, they're not even calling them illegal, they just say migrants. So we'll say migrants, but we'll put the illegal on the back of it. We'll spin it. But these migrants are going to have California issued state IDs. This is going to be the new bill. Oh yeah, so that they can open bank accounts.
There's no way.
I swear, it's a bill. I'll have to get you the number. But he signed it. It's in effect that these migrants now are going to have California state issued IDs so that they can go around and do the things that I guess that they need to. But, you know, he's predicting that 2023 is going to be the year from hell. And he says that civil unrest will get worse. And he's predicting we'll have a full-blown war next year. And he's saying that desperate Democrats are going to do things like granting illegal alien citizenship. Well, there you go. Right. So that they can vote in the midterm elections. And in closing, he says something is going to spark a collapse in government again. It's going to be something, he says, I think, in Europe where they do something drastic because they have no other choice. And they need war as the excuse for the defaults on all the government debt.
Wow.
Yeah. And speaking of war, listen to this. This came out today. So Reuters is reporting that the Polish government now is fearing that the war in neighboring Ukraine could lead to a nuclear event. And it's giving out iodine tablets to be ready for the worst.
Wow.
And they're saying that there's two varieties of nuclear that they're fearing right now. And one is the form of an explosion at the Ukrainian nuclear power plant, and the other is Putin's threat. And what they're doing is they're literally giving these iodine tablets to the fire department to actually hand out to its citizens these iodine tablets.
Interesting.
What do they know? So the fire department now is going around and handing out these iodine tablets. So, you know, we're just here to report the news. This is just what's happening. And, you know, the main thing I can tell you all, and I can't say it enough, and you'll look back on these, I'm sure, a year from now, and you'll be saying, I'm glad I listened to them. Because right now is the time to be getting your house in order. Markets, you know, they're very volatile right now. Markets down below 29, or 30, I'm sorry, below 30 right now. Things aren't looking real positive right now. And, you know, if you have something, you should, even those of you that have just a few dollars, invest it in something that you know that you can exchange for more value later on. So listen, it's been good talking to you. We're going to let you go. Have any questions, give me a call personally. I'll give you my number again. It's 323 if you don't want to talk to those answering services. Because look, we get so busy that we have to hire an answering center to answer the calls for us because we don't want to lose all of the calls that come in. So I know if you don't want to talk to them, you can call me directly. My direct number is 323-380-5485. Robert, you can give the 800 number?
Yeah, so that's going to be 800-753-8534.
Why don't you do it one more time? Give it to them one more time.
It's 1-800-753-8534.
Excellent. We're done. Now. Oh. We're done now.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That wasn't long.
No, that